you thought was cool just has really rich parents. Everyone you thought was cool just has really rich parents. Let me make sure you guys can hear me. Testing, 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 testing. Come on, YouTube, pick up the live stream, bro. Everyone you thought was cool just has really rich parents. All right, we are live. Welcome back to Beagle Eye Visions. Let me get in this. It's actually kind of a nice day. Let me go sit on the dock. We're gonna get started here. This is gonna be a little bit of a shorter Chatauqua today, because me and the boys are probably going to. We're gonna sail the seas. Of course, we're gonna sail the seas, but we're gonna be talking about freedom first. First and foremost, first things first, principles. We got to talk about freedom before we can go sail the high seas. And I'm on safe seas. What is that? Oh, I thought that was like a little panther or something. Where can I sit? But anyways, applying to some jobs, trying to get employment. We're going to continue this Chatauqua. There's for the video gamers, I got a pretty cool little announcement. I guess not really an announcement. What is the definition of an announcement, actually? Can somebody look that up in the chat? What is the definition of an announcement? I'm pretty excited because last night I was watching this video, and this video is flawless, especially for the video gamers. I'll just go sit out in the tavern, I guess. Back to our usual. No, should I sit over here? Where should I sit? Sit over here? I like Tallulah. Let's hang out with Tallulah. All right. So, the video I was watching last night is pretty freaking flawless. Pretty freaking amazing. If you look up Seed Truth Academy in the YouTubes, do a YouTube search of the Seed Truth Academy. And it's really weird because I thought I was subscribed to these guys. And I am subscribed to these guys, but YouTube gave me no notifications, gave me no updates that these guys. This is one of my favorite YouTube channels on the internet right now. Seriously, Seed Truth Academy. I'm subscribed. I have notifications on, and they uploaded this 3-hour video 3 days ago, or no, 6 days ago, and I didn't even know about it. You know, last night I was curious. I was like, what's my boy Brandon Martin? He's a recent father. You know, he's an absolute legend. He just had a child. I hope him and his family are healthy. I'm gonna have to message him tonight. I'm gonna have to hit him up and give him a phone call, catch up, because I missed him. The video that they did last night it's called The Discussion on Metal Gear Solid 2, featuring Brandon Martin and Francesco Sani? Francesco Sani? Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But it was, man, they're just talking about the allegory of not Full Metal Jacket, even though that's a fantastic allegory. The allegory of Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty. And I had no idea that game was as deep as it is. I played a couple of Metal Gear Solid games back in the day. Like, I used to buy a couple of them because when I was growing up, my dad said he always played Metal Gear Solid on, like, Nintendo. So when I was a kid, to try to have that, like, to try to build a relationship, I would buy, like, a Metal Gear Solid video game every now and again and try to beat it, and then I would try to go talk to him. But you know, the building relationships that's a whole nother Chatauqua in and of itself. But anyways, yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to those guys. Brandon Martin and this other host that Brandon Martin Francesco. These guys are legends. Fantastic work. The Seed Truth Academy has amazing videos called like Voluntarist Academy. Special guest Brandon Martin of Seed Truth Academy. The Cubbyhole podcast entire playlist is on the Seed Truth Academy. Over the Rainbow: The Secret Doctrine and Occult Origins of the Wizard of Oz Really good stuff. Change your vibration. I think that was a Nate Cap presentation. What they don't want you to know. Let's click this little short.
What is natural law? Natural law is a set of universal...
No, don't take Brandon. I have my notes. We're going to read some chapters. We're going to try to knock out a chapter, but I found in my notes the definition of what natural law is, and people need to be reminded because people's attention spans are completely, totally devastated. So I wanted to bring my natural law notes out of my notebook, talk about natural law, because this is what the whole Chatauqua is all about. Natural law is all about morality. The law of the land, right? It's God's law, karmic law, right? It's definitely not man's law. So freaking far away from man's law. It's literally the opposite of man's law. Like, oh, God, man's law makes me sick. And anybody that upholds man's law makes me even more sick, because then they're declaring to be an order-following coward without thinking for themselves. But anyways, let's get to the notes. What is natural law? And I guess this is from the Seed Truth Academy on YouTube, actually. So I could have just played that video. But anyways, natural law is a set of universal, inherent, objective, non-man-made, eternal, and immutable binding conditions, which are the governing dynamics. Yeah, I know that word governing is in there, but it's still natural. Which are the governing dynamics for the consequences of beings, like human beings, the governing dynamics for the consequences of beings with the capacity for holistic intelligence. That means human beings. Beings with the capacity to determine the difference between right and wrong behavior. Animals do not have the capacity to tell the difference between right and wrong behavior. The capacity for holistic intelligence and the understanding of the difference between right and wrong, or nonviolent and violent behaviors or actions. Natural law, universal law, consequentialism, God's law, and even cause and effect. Contrary to what most people believe, natural law has nothing. Let me say that again. Natural law has nothing. Let me zoom it in and get my face here. It has nothing. This is a bad angle. Nothing to do with Darwinism, Darwin's theory regarding the natural quote-unquote order or survival of the fittest. And that was from Brandon Martin on the Cuppy Hole podcast and Seed Truth Academy on YouTube. The principles of Hermetic philosophy or natural law include mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, number 6, cause and effect, number 7, gender, and then number 8 is the 8th hidden principle, or the generative principle in Freemasonry, the generative principle, the sacred geometry, is care, is the 8th hidden principle that is largely forgotten. So I'm going to see if the boy. So I should have about 45 minutes. We'll be able to get through at least one chapter. Yeah. They're sending me want to cause destruction today, so I don't really want to cause destruction. Let me get a drink here before I start reading. That's why. That's why the microphone was not picking up the mouth movements. All right, the end of all evil. The lighting is kind of difficult because it's later in the evening. So we're on chapter 5. Chapter 5, tactics. Thank you so much if you made it this far. I really appreciate you. But yeah, let's talk about some freedom. Let's get into it. And this is chapter 5. If anybody's tuned in, go back and listen to the first Chatauqua. Listen to them in order. I don't want you to come in here on the live stream, start talking about, that's out of context. No, it's not out of context. You just got into the live stream when we're 5 chapters deep into this Chatauqua. Freaking slacker. There is no such thing as anarchy. There is only tyranny. All cultures teach the nobility of authority. All pretend to defend the security of people against enemies who would do harm. The common thread amongst every authority in history is the universal enemy of anarchy. While cultures have added racism, economy, terrorism, nationalism, and countless other enemies to the mix, anarchy exists as the enemy of every single culture. There is no such thing as anarchy. You will not kill your neighbor in the absence of police. You are not evil. Those who wish this type of control and violence over others teach you that you are not worthy of ruling yourself. They teach you that you lack intelligence, self-control, and value. They teach that only government can rule you. The word government means tyranny. Governare mens mentes. To govern the mental capacity. To govern the mental capacity. To govern the mind, it's mind control. It exists to establish ownership over you. You need no governing. You are a human being, and as such, you have infinite worth. You and you alone rightfully control your actions, your speech, and your labor. All who seek these things of you must receive your permission first. All who do not are evil. Anarchy is a lie. It is created by tyrants to deceive you. There is no such thing as anarchy. There is only tyranny. It's pretty true. Good point. Good statements. Royalty. From the earliest days of man, there have been those who looked around them and saw others as tools to be used instead of building themselves up in wisdom and understanding where infinite prosperity is possible. They designed on the laziness of theft and control. In primitive form, these are men who would rather use superior physical strength and the threat of violence to cower people. The demands they made were simple: money. The stronger men could live off the work of others. The success of such men is measured in modern culture's terms for them. Some are thugs and brutes, others barbarians and bandits. Because of their limited success and unending brutality, such evil rarely held people in bondage for long. Revolts and power struggles were common. It was extremely difficult for a person to maintain his grip of extortion over people. Now, they were talking about this in the Metal Gear Solid Sons of Liberty video that I was just talking about, how freak chaos over here at Beagle Eye Visions. But in that Metal Gear Solid video that I mentioned, I will put a link. I will put a link to that video in the description of this. In the description of this one, they were talking about how the Civil War wasn't about racism. It wasn't about owning people so they could do less work. It was about the Civil War was created. It's not just about racism. It's not just about states' rights. A lot of people have, Brandon Martin said a lot of people's opinions on the Civil War is totally askewed, which I agree. The Civil War, after the Civil War ended, slavery became widely available for everybody. Instead of just a certain sect of people, slavery through taxation. Everybody became enslaved after the Civil War was over, and that was through the banksters, the banking institution, the Federal Reserve. It's a huge rabbit hole, but I'm gonna keep going. This book talks about that too. We're gonna get into. As history progressed, men of significantly more cunning devised the element of control necessary to stabilize power over people. This element is culture. Instead of extortion and brutality, they created the notions of rightful rule and royalty. Their objective was to preclude the people from revolt by teaching them that their authority was legitimate. This is the singular objective of all culture. For thousands of years, the culture of royalty enslaved all of humanity under the names of chief, king, and emperor. All titles of nobility were designed to reinforce the image of familial loyalty. People who are naturally respectful and deferent towards their families were taught that royalty was the greater family. Respectful and deferent. Where's my dumb phone? Cool. What is the definition of deferent?
difference is the state or quality of being unlike.
Dude, you're dumb. You're dumb. Google is dumb. That's not what I said. This is what happens when you rely on dumb technology. All right. Deference. I don't remember what that is. Deference. Okay. Listen to that beautiful music. I can't. Culturally deference. So DEFER. Deferent definition. That's a tough one. Another term for differential. Showing deference. Respectful. What the hell is deference? Humble submission and respect. Humble submission. Oh my God, there's no such thing as humble submission. What the heck? All right, respectful and deferent family. The king was, in all cultures, viewed as something between a father and a god. This idolatry of the family is the cornerstone of royalty. Yeah, and it's still, the idolatry of the family still goes on to this freaking day, dude. People hold up their parents on such a high pedestal. It's ridiculous. Even if their parents taught them immoral actions, you know, ridiculous. Like, it reminds me of the song Body Count, Mama's Gotta Die Tonight, where Mama teaches Ice-T, the singer of Body Count, Mama teaches him how to be racist. Don't trust them white people, don't trust them white people. And he's like, it's an interesting, really controversial song. I mean, Body Count's a controversial band. But it's a really interesting song. Mama's Gotta Die Tonight. Look it up. People were taught that to obey nobility was the greater form of respecting their father and mother. Culture's objective was to twist the understanding of people so that they believed that extortionists held a rightful place in their lives. The result was that people rarely fought back. Yeah, that's exactly why religion was invented. Religion was invented to keep the poor from revolting. But, you know, maybe someday people will, you know, pull their heads out of their turd-filled cacas and, you know, freaking wake up. But I'm just moving spots so they don't kick me. And that music was kind of it's like, I know it's Christmas time, but I don't want people to watch this live stream outside of Christmas time and be like, it's not even Christmas time. Why am I watching that? You know, like, nobody watches Elf in July, and if you do, you're probably an idiot. People were taught, where was I at? Greater form of respecting father and mother. Cultures of... Oh, I already read that. So every aspect of the culture of royalty taught people concepts such as nobility, loyalty, duty, and honor. Each of these ideas are lies. They are designed to teach people that their worth is less than the worth of the king. Without the trappings of culture, he would simply be a thug taking food and labor at this point of a sword. With it, he is His Majesty the King. And this is another thing. Like, this is why I disagree with food stamps, because without the trappings of culture, he would simply be a thug taking food and labor at the point of the sword. That's what food stamps is. Instead of, you know, biting the bullet, instead of, like, taking responsibility and say, hey, I'm low on food, and going out and asking your neighbor, you're asking the government to hold a gun to your neighbor's face to rob them so that you can get food. That's what food stamps is. Food stamps is another form of robbery, just like taxation. And it's completely immoral, and so many people still use food stamps for totally satanic reasons. They use food stamps to get energy drinks, freaking frozen fruit. They spoil themselves, and it's totally selfish reasons that these people get food stamps. There are people out there who use food stamps to, you know, like people with children, with newborns who use food stamps, and then once they get back on their feet, I've known people who they'll throw the food stamps out, right? They'll sign out and they'll opt out of them. But most people, 95% of the population who get food stamps do not want to spend their hard-earned money on food, because why would they when the government robs their neighbors for them to give them money so they don't have to spend money on food? It's fucking extortion. Sorry for the language, but it's completely extortion. Instead of going to your neighbor, or instead of growing a garden, right? And then so many people take it to a self-indulgent level where they'll get food stamps and then they'll still have vapes, right? They'll still have government cocks. They'll still pay for their addictions while, using other people, basically. Because that's what taxation is. When you benefit off of other people's taxes, when you benefit off of other people's, hard-earned dollars, it's Satanism. It's evil. It's extortion. It's laziness. I freaking hate food stamps. And everybody I know, like so many people that have food stamps, literally like just get Red Bull. Like my coworker in Marion, Indiana, she was a single mom, and she didn't even have custody of her child. So I don't even know how the hell she had food stamps because she had no custody of this child. But before work, she would go to the gas station and buy everybody Red Bull. She would buy like 10 Red Bulls, give it all out to her coworkers and be like, oh, I didn't have to pay for it. The government paid for it. It's through food stamps. And this is how selfish people are. They use the government benefits, the communist benefits, and then usually for totally selfish desires. And like I said, so many people that have food stamps use it for that purpose. They don't use food stamps to like actually get meals and to eat healthily, right? It's absolutely ridiculous. I don't think, you should not be able to buy soda with food stamps. You should not be able to buy donuts or junk food. Like, I understand if you want a donut, everybody wants a sweet. I'm drinking garbage Coca-Cola right now. I get sweet-toothed every now and again. Totally understandable. I'm a human being. I understand that. But it's still, we got to be vigilant. We have to be moral, right? This is why there's so much suffering going on in the world, because there's so many people who are pseudo-Satanists that just simply don't care. They're like, I don't care about where food stamps come from. It's free money. I'll use it. I don't care where my stimulus check comes from. It's free money. I'll use it. But anyways, sorry for my boomer rant. Pushes up glasses. History of freedom. As the era of kings was closing, cultures began to disintegrate and freedom grew. This was precipitated by two very specific and very powerful attacks against royalty: the Magna Carta and the Declaration of Independence. Every time cultures are attacked, people begin to learn more about their value. When rebellion spread among people of astounding courage, culture lost its grip and people were able to see that there was no king who had claim upon them. They started to see a glimpse of their own worth. The engineers of evil understood that the world had finally learned how to see past the culture of royalty. With the astonishing speed of only a few generations, they engineered the culture of nations to replace it. Under the umbrella of nationality, people are slaves to borders more than at any time in history. Yes, the arbitrary line of borders. You don't belong here because you were born X amount of miles away from this border, so you don't belong to cross this arbitrary line. Complete BS. Complete, utter, immoral control from egotistical psychopaths. Build the wall. Who's going to build the wall? We need the wall. The border hoppers need to get over here. They need to cross the border legally. I fully support if they cross the border legally. But if they hop the border, they come illegally. They take my job. Fucking inbred idiots. That's the voice that I was just inbred. If they should come in here. They should come here legally. They're human beings. We're all human beings, part of the earth. You fucking idiot. Like, they belong here. We're all natural human beings. We all belong here on the earth. No arbitrary line dictates where people belong or don't belong. The engineers of culture understood that understood that the world had finally learned how to see past the culture of royalty. With the astonishing speed of only a few generations, they engineered the cultures of nations to replace it. Under the umbrella of nationality, people are slaves to borders more than at any time in history. The power of my king, this is in quotes, my king is in quotes, has been replaced by the culturally superior, in quotes, our country. Nations have caused greater death and slavery than any degree of royalty has ever envisioned. The history of freedom shows that even as nations grow strong, the cultural lessons from royalty have been learned. Freedom progresses around the world as population increases. Cultures are destroyed by freedom routinely, and the lessons of each new tactic of deceit are being learned around the world. The violence of nations increases as the cries of freedom are raised. Hundreds of millions have been murdered and billions enslaved in recent history, all in futile attempts by evil men to stay in power. As the stability of their empires is challenged, they rain blood upon their heads of their protectorates. Yeah, Trump just was literally bragging about dropping bombs on Twitter. That was 8 months ago, 9 months ago now. People seem to just forget it, like worship Trump. This guy's dropping bombs on innocent people, but yeah, keep voting. The history of freedom shows that such violence is not the growth of evil, but its death. Violence and the enforcement of law are necessary only when culture's grip fails to effectively control the minds of people. The death of kings, the transition of nations, the mutations of culture, and the violence of governments are evidence of the end of evil. Authorities of all kinds are struggling for breath in a world that is learning how to drown them forever. In the world you and I occupy, the world is already won. We only have to watch evil die. I really wish it was that easy. But it's optimistic. You know, it's good to have some optimism. Nations. Nations are a generic umbrella of culture that prove extremely effective for authorities. Nations use commonality in race, language, and heritage to persuade ownership of people. Their only shared agent is the border. As the cultures... wow, that's profound. As the cultures of royalty disintegrated, nations were created to replace them. Authorities sought the same stability of extortion that kingdoms provided, but needed to escape the understanding that people had learned about the tyranny of royalty. They created a new enemy called them and a new culture called we. Nations drew lines across the globe and eventually swallowed up every inch of inhabitable land known to man. All those who live within these lines become the property of the state. They are taught that they own their governments by means of democracy, communism, theocracy, and race. They are taught that their nations belong to them. This is the culture of we. The truth is that their nations own them. Nations are created and borders drawn to create stability for authority, while royalty improved stability by convincing people that they owed allegiance to authority. Nations took a bigger step and taught people that they were the authority. National cultures deceive the minds of people to more effectively extort money and control. Exactly. During the scam-demic, plandemic, where they turned all of our houses into prisons, I had coworkers who were saying the most asinine stuff, like to add on to this loyalty to our nation, loyalty to our free state is what people say. You know, this guy was saying that it is our patriotic American duty to get the sauce, right? Like, it's insane. That's insane. The shot, the JAB, it was squirt. It was an experimental, like, it was only out for 6 months. It was still in FDA testing. It was still in the testing stage when they pumped out this sauce. And this guy's, it's your American duty to get jabbed with this experiment of, you know, like formaldehyde and tar and like foreskins whatever they put in the shots. You know, it's like, it's your American duty to get jabbed. You're out, and this guy wasn't even working. Like, he didn't even have a job. Oh, I said it was actually my coworker's boyfriend, I should say. He was one of those dudes that sat outside, like super jealous dudes. Like, couldn't even let the girlfriend go to work. He just sat outside in the parking lot in the car. He's like, who are you flirting with at work? You know, like one of those guys. Anyways, I hope they're doing good. Hope their family's healthy and stuff. They had a couple kids. They would come over for cookouts and stuff like that. I'd invite them over to the trailer when we lived at Shady Brook Trailer, the trailer park. We lived at the trailer park. They'd come over for dinner every now and again. I'd talk about freedom. He actually, one good thing I got from that relationship, he showed me a really good book. It's called, here, I got it right in front of me, actually, coincidentally. A really good book. It's called A History of Magic, Witchcraft, and the Occult. It's actually a really good book. I think I got a little over 100 pages in it. I still got my bookmark in there. But, yeah, I need to finish that one, do a book review of it. It's a really good book. But, yeah, this is what people say. This is their loyalty to their nation, our nation. It's your duty to get that jab. As soon as you lend credibility to a predatory institution, they will make prey of you. Oh, my God. So freaking powerful. Say it again. As soon as you lend credibility to a predatory institution, especially government, they will make prey of you. They will steal your they will steal and rob your paycheck. Disguised as sheep, they will have you believe that they are defending you from anarchy or any other kind of enemy they can devise, right? Like a convid, a type of enemy. Their laws do not speak of these enemies. They speak of you, how much money you owe, and what you will do for them. I absolutely hate the fact that I have to pay for a piece of plastic so I could have the privilege of driving of you. Just like every time I go renew my license, and I'm like, dude, you guys are stealing more money out of my paycheck. You already get taxes out of me. Now I got to go to the DMV and you get more money out of me. And then I go to the store and you tax me again. And then I go buy a car and you tax me again. Like, I'm sick of it. Government is an agent of force. As soon as power is yielded to authority, as soon as you give it license to take life and liberty, it becomes an agent of evil. Evil men who seek authority over you will not fight government. All evil that wants is power over you. Is that a typo? All evil that wants is power. Is that grammatically correct, chat? Can you let me know? Evil naturally seeks its place in government. There have been many forms of nations created, all with varying degrees of effectiveness in their control. Without exception, the strongest governments are those whose culture most effectively convinces people that the people are the government. Yeah, we the people. We the jackass inbred retards that think government... I'm not trying to channel my inner freaking Mark Passio, but it's like so hard. Like, God, people are so stupid. It's like, we are not learning from history. It's so frustrating. All evil that wants is power over you. Evil naturally seeks its place in government. There have been many forms of nations created, all with varying degrees of effectiveness in their control. Without exception, the strongest governments are those whose culture most effectively convinces people that the people are the government. That is so freaking powerful. All others soon fall. This is why democracies are the strongest form of nation possible. And this is exactly why slavery still exists, because people still fucking think that democracies are going to give them power. They are introduced last. Communism and socialism. Socialism, communism, and welfare states all have different applications in history and idea, yet they are all exactly the same. They all teach people that they are unable to effectively produce enough to support their own lives. Exactly. You're not... Everything that is evil teaches you that you do not have infinite worth, right? Remember that at the beginning of the book. They are given the enemies of greed and destruction as the reasons why authority is needed in their lives. Communism is the second most effective form of evil that has ever existed, and it is the most destructive ever achieved. Communism taught that people require equality of materials rather than the freedom to create. Communism used the lie that people would be part owners of the government in order to garner their support for slave labor and soldiering. Anybody reading the implementation of communism or its similar constructs should readily see evil. There is nothing wrong with a community helping each other. Absolutely. There is no sin in sacrifice or giving. But as with all culture, these ideas were lies. There is no sacrifice in communism and socialism, and there is no giving. They are always implemented by force. All right, I'm going to change spots here. Change spots, get another drink, make sure the lobby doesn't kick me out. Hopefully, this chapter is going to be wrapped up soon. I'm pretty sure the boys are... going to be sailing here. Sailing the high seas. I haven't been streaming on Twitch because they like to use Discord, which, I don't understand why gamers like to use an app that's called Discord, right? An app for communication that's titled Discord. That's stupid. Like, look up the definition of Discord. You do not want Discord when you want communication. You do not want Discord in your communication. It's so stupid. I don't know why people support these things, but anyways. Let me get a drink here. Oh, I'm out of Coca-Cola. Switching to water. I need to stoke the fire too. I need to get the fire hot. I need to get some coals going. It's freaking freezing. Freaking lost my spot. Okay. Tyranny has destroyed countless more lives than poverty could ever dream. In times of poverty, only one thing stands in the way of people: government. Governments use violence to restrict freedom and therefore people's ability to better their lives. Under the pretense of ending poverty, authorities have used compulsion and violence to create more death and destruction than any storm, any famine, or any drought. It is the element of force that believes the tyranny of all socialistic ideals. Freaking squirt back there eating butt. Without force, there is no evil in them. Without force, there is no evil in them. With force, they are the same as any other government. They bring misery to humanity. Dictators. A dictator bears similarity to the kings of royalty while maintaining a culture of nationalism. There is a common belief in history that dictators and kings are noble. Anytime a national culture is strong, leaders are thought of as pure and righteous. Joseph Stalin and Adolf Hitler are just two examples. After their deaths, their people were shocked to learn that the atrocities of their nations were created by them. History records endless testimonies of people who believe that the terror in their lives was happening without these leaders' knowledge. National Socialists actually viewed the terror they brought to Europe as a defensive war. Whenever you see culture supporting an authority or trying to implement an authority, you will find the destruction of freedom. In every culture, people are deceived into believing that authority is good. Even when they see the tyranny of authority in history, they fail to see it in their own culture. The greatest mistakes of history have been those of inaction. Killing a man because he advocates the destruction of liberty sounds extreme to people of all cultures. Culture indoctrinates people with this thinking, yet the logic of killing Adolf Hitler, Mao Zedong, and Vladimir Lenin, instead of allowing them to destroy the liberty and lives of billions, is unavoidable. The idea of killing a dictator in cold blood before they murder millions is offensive because the culture who protect these leaders design themselves that way. And so, evil prospers. To this day. Peace is found when people stand for morality and reject culture. Defend freedom at all costs and at all times, and peace will rule the world instead of tyrants. It is that simple. Don't give me this, oh, it's not just black and white. It is that simple. Peace is found when people stand for morality. Period. End of story. Morality enforced. Cultures love teaching people that morality is properly enforced. It is the ultimate deceit, a powerful lie. Cultures teach that morality and prudence are one and the same. Culture can easily claim authority over people when they believe that doing something foolish is the same thing as doing something evil. Morality is freedom. Absolutely. Immorality is the destruction of freedom. Morality is good. Immorality is evil. Culture would have you believe that morality is a question of personal vice. It pretends that imprudence is the same thing as immorality. When people believe that enforcing prudence is the same as defending liberty, they can be used to support dramatic increases in the power of authority over people. The Inquisitions of medieval times used the ideas of enforcing morality to expand the power of the Roman Church. They created law and enforcement to force church government into people's lives. It was culturally acceptable because they were enforcing morality instead of simple arbitrary control. The American prohibition of alcohol, right, we already talked about that in one of the previous Chatauquas. The American prohibition of alcohol was touted as a way to counter the effects of alcohol's control over people. In order to fight that control, the U.S. government established a massive police force to control the lives of people. Those who would force prudence on people teach that people are not able to learn intelligent behaviors on their own. Culture teaches that people must not be free to make personal mistakes. It teaches that people are not worthy of ruling their own lives. Without freedom, prudence is meaningless. Environmentalism. Environmentalism shares the ideals of communism. It teaches that greed is the enemy and that those in search of money will destroy the earth. The enemy of greed is the same enemy that communism employs. It is the same lie. They both teach that without authority, free people will destroy themselves. They both teach that government is necessary to enforce security. Environmentalism has one new twist on the ancient lies of evil. It teaches that the dirt you stand on is more valuable than you. It teaches that authority is necessary to ensure that you do not destroy it. As with all evil, it really only cares that you obey. What excuse people choose to follow is of no concern to evil. Culture teaches that the only security to be found in life is in government. Only they can secure your water, your air, and your food. Yield authority to them. The strength of environmentalism is that it can be used to regulate every aspect of your life. Transportation, food, housing, energy, and communication. They all fall under this umbrella of regulation and control. Environmentalism is just one more excuse to implement slavery. So many nuggets of gold, dude. So freaking true. So freaking. This is a bit of a longer chapter, so we're going to keep going here. Bureaucracy. It is extremely important to see that bureaucracy is not just an inconvenience. The slavery of bureaucracy lies in force and compulsion. Those under its power are taught to overlook bureaucracy as just another fact of life. The truth is that bureaucracy does not sustain or improve life. It drains it. The culture of bureaucracy is incredibly strong in many areas of the world. It is able to convince people that they are free while subjecting them to reams of licensing, fees, permissions, and reporting requirements. Failure to obey results in fines, imprisonment, or death. This is their freedom. Bureaucracy benefits primarily those who make their money from it. These are government employees and controllers. One of their favored tactics in achieving new regulation is the stacking of laws. An example is safety requirements like helmet and seatbelt laws. Such things presume goodness, but evil doesn't care if you are safe. It only cares that you are forced. Bureaucrats make the case for new regulations by leveraging previous regulation. They may extort money for the purpose of paying medical costs for trauma victims. They can then claim the need for helmet and seatbelt laws because they are obligated to pay medical costs. A bureaucrat's solution to problems created by law is more law. Their obvious objective is law itself. Exactly. Man's law compounds to generate more of man's law. Right? What do men with power want? More power. Give them a little bit of power, and then try to take it back from them. See how well it works out, right? Terrorism. Terrorism has nothing to do with America and nothing to do with religion. Terrorism follows the pattern of tyranny precisely. Many areas of the world are dramatically affected by increasing technology. As messages and images of freedom reach the new corners of the world, people begin to see the tyranny of their own cultures. It's kind of a weird angle there. I like that one better. As culture loses its grip on people, authority increases its violence. Terrorism is authority attempting to teach people that freedom is depravity and corruption. Terrorism is authority attempting to teach people that freedom is anarchy, that freedom is to be feared. Right. Yeah, freedom is dangerous. Where would we... Without government, who would build the roads? Without government, it would just be chaos. Gangs would rule everywhere. Right? You hear this dumb, stupid rhetoric. And where does this rhetoric come from? It comes from a place of fear. You know? Anybody who lives in fear is almost always afraid of responsibility. Anybody who lives in fear will never accept extra responsibility because they're living in fear. Just like Dr. Bruce Lipton said, when you live in fear, all of your blood is outside of your viscera. It's in your hands, it's in your feet. You're ready to fight or flight at any moment. There's no room for growth when the blood is outside of the viscera in the human body. As culture loses its grips on people, authority increases its violence. Terrorism is authority attempting to teach people that freedom is depravity and corruption. Terrorism is authority attempting to teach people that freedom is anarchy, that freedom is to be feared. Terrorism has been used throughout history to create populations to yield to their authority and governments to those hungry for power and lacking of conscience. Terrorism is rarely used against those over whom power is sought. Hitler's terrorism against the Jews is a formidable example of the use of terror to gain power over the German people. Al-Qaeda exemplifies the use of terrorism against American peoples in order to maintain power and influence over Islamic peoples. Whoa, what is this glow? That looks freaking gorgeous. The sunset music's going to come up. God, that is gorgeous. Freaking love this game. Oh, there's the music. Cue the music. All right. Al-Qaeda emphasizes terrorism is proof of the pattern of liberty. It is precisely because tyrannical states are afraid of losing the grip they have had over the peoples for so long that terrorism is a rising factor in the world. Evil is afraid. And it should be. Rights. There's no such thing as a right. All people are inherently free. The idea of right was created by men who sought to free people from some of the burdens of government, but who still believed that governments were supreme over men. The problem with rights is that they offer certain delineated permissions granted to men by government. After these, government can still dispose of you as it pleases. Even in measures of restriction, this still teaches people that they have less value than law. The truth is that you are free, and there is no authority that has any claim upon you, ever. You are, by your nature, already free. This is the value of a human being. I'm sorry to stop, but I really got to stoke this fire. It's so freaking cold, dude. I'm not a fan of winter. Not a fan of winter at all. Let me make sure the boys aren't in the chat, too. Okay, boys are not in the chat, so we can wrap up this chapter. We'll be good. I'll be right back. Actually, I'm going to head back to the tavern. And then I'm going to add some more wood to this fire. Actually, I'm going to dance on the table a little bit. Oh, yeah. Be right back. All right. Is my mouth moving? Pretty sick, pretty sick. All right. Yes, if the fire is not up to like over 300 degrees, the coals like Excuse me. There's like no coals, so you gotta kind of keep stoking it. You gotta watch it, stoke it, watch it, stoke it, watch it until the coals. If it's over 350 degrees, the coals are hot enough. You can just toss a log in there, and it'll, you know, keep itself going. But you know, my back. All right, are we back? Okay. Where were we at? But who still believe that governments were superior over men. The problem with rights is that they offer certain delineate. I already read that. The truth is that you are free, that there is no authority has any claim upon you ever. You are by your nature already free. This is the value of a human being. Okay, so we're on law enforcement, but this freaking fire. All right. Hello? Testing, testing. All right, mouse moving. All right, law enforcement. Culture teaches people that police are the only ones whose right it is to defend the people. It teaches that if people were able to defend themselves, anarchy would be the result. Yeah, exactly. That's like what I said earlier. The penalty for defending yourself instead of relying on police protection is usually extremely severe. The reason is obvious. It shows the ultimate tyranny of law. If you aren't helpless, then they have little premise to remain in power over you. And this is exactly what happens to a guy in the freedom community. I think it was what's his name? Who is the conspiracy theorist that got shot in his backyard? Bill Cooper. William Bill Cooper. The incident occurred in November 2001 at his home in Eager, Arizona. After a standoff with sheriff's deputies attempting to serve an arrest warrant, Cooper, an author of an influential book, Behold a Pale Horse, and host of a shortwave radio show, had long espoused anti-government views and became convinced that he was a target of federal authorities. The circumstance of his death. Warrants. Federal authorities had an arrest warrant for Cooper since 1998 for tax evasion and bank fraud. Again, tax evasion, and I don't know what bank fraud is considered, but tax evasion is not an immoral action. You are not causing any other human being harm by evading taxes, right? It's a totally, moral action to not want to get robbed, which they had deferred, serving to avoid a violent confrontation. A local warrant was also issued after he allegedly threatened a passerby with a gun, and he was on his property. He threatened a passerby with a gun when he was on his own property. The incident, on November the 5th, 2001, of course, right? Remember the 5th of November, right? Just like when Guy Fawkes died. The same day, November the 5th. It's like a mockery of, true rebels, a true rebellion. On November 5th, 2001, Apache County Sheriff's deputies attempted to arrest him at his home on the local charges. Cooper opened fire on the deputies, shooting one in the head. The deputy survived. In the ensuing exchange of gunfire, Cooper was fatally shot by multiple shots before he could make it inside his house. And he was shot on his own property, defending his life from tyrants. Look it up. It's a really fascinating rabbit hole. And he's got great work. I need to find a copy of that book. Yo, internet, let's get somebody donate to get Beagle Eye Visions a copy of what is that book called? Where'd it go? Behold a Pale Horse. I want to read that book. Cash App Beagle Eye. Let's get us a copy of that book. I need to put that on the list actually, because when I start working, if I actually want to buy it. I want to buy that book. Conspiracy theorists and its followers view Cooper as a martyr, believing that the global forces needed him silenced. Wow, that's from Google AI. Really interesting. Rest in peace, Bill Cooper. That's messed up. And again, order-following cowards shot this man while he was defending himself on his property for a warrant that wasn't, it wasn't a warrant from like he robbed somebody or he broke into his neighbor's house and killed his neighbor. It's tax evasion, bro. Like, come on. Come on. That's how they caught Al Capone, back to the Prohibition. Things like that, stories like that make me so angry. This is why people in the freedom community say, if you're not angry, you're not paying attention. But the penalty for defending yourself, if you aren't helpless, then they have little premise to remain in power over you. The intention of law enforcement is not to defend your liberty. It is to defend the stability of the machines of extortion. Laws do not say no killing, no raping, no stealing. Instead, they are volume upon volume of minutia, controlling every aspect of life and destroying liberty wherever they go. Every government agency are enforcers of these laws. The law is not righteous, neither are the enforcers of it. It is a mistake to blindly respect law enforcement as noble and brave. Laws are designed to control, not to protect. Oh, where'd my character go? Moving around here too much. They're designed to control, not to protect. I lost my spot. An officer of government may believe that what he is doing is right. That is exactly what culture wants him to think. Every single one of the hundreds of millions who have died at the hands of governments died under legal premise. Law is not morality. Laws, rules, and regulations by themselves are of little danger to humanity. They presume authority to rule over you, and culture demands that you obey them, but they would eventually be ignored as people test and finally discover freedom. It is the violent enforcement of law that bears the ultimate evil. Enforcement is the core of law, since all laws require enforcement in order to control people. Respect for law enforcement is an invitation to tyranny. Every culture in the history of Earth has taught its people that police are good and noble. Medieval knights excused their tyranny by calling it chivalry. Terrorist cultures excuse theirs by calling it religion. No matter what culture you observe, you will find a belief that enforcers of law are good. The important question has nothing to do with nobility of the people who enforce law. It is a question of the nobility of the law. Presuming the righteousness of the agents who enforce the law is precisely what cultures are designed to do because they excuse the nature of the law. This invitation is exploited heavily by history's dictators, kings, and mafias. What better place to hide atrocities, large and small, than the very group of armed men who hold a monopoly on violence and respect? The penalty for disobeying authority is always death. All who have stood in open rebellion against existing powers throughout history were killed. Today, even in free nations, men are killed for rebellion. If they cannot force you to obey with intimidation, they use threat. If threat is not enough, they use kidnapping and imprisonment. If that fails, you will be murdered. Which law you break is irrelevant. Even such a little law as a speeding ticket. Fail to pull over, resist arrest, try to escape or fight back. It happens regularly. The penalty is death. Right. If you sell a single loose cigarette on the streets of New York, there will be some order-following loser that will choke you out until you fucking die on the sidewalk. Rest in peace, George Floyd. Ugh. Freaking ridiculous. The price of government. I had to get through my vitriol there. The stiffest penalties of law are reserved not for those that you are to be protected from, but those who fail to pay the price of protection. Right, like mafia, organized crime. The entire purpose of evil is to enslave you, to destroy your freedom in order to make you a tool for someone else's use. Just as mafia extortion rackets reserve brutal beatings for those who fail to pay the tax. The world's most effective governments use a system of threats, abuse, intimidation, imprisonment, and death to ensure that taxes are paid. And this is a great allegory Martin Scorsese's Goodfellas is a great allegory about how the mafia and government are seemingly tied together, right? And same thing with Al Capone, the story of Al Capone, and how mafia and government are seemingly tied together. And, goes on, goes on. Jay Dyer talks about this type of work. He's got multiple books on this subject. What another good allegory that was Martin Scorsese. The Departed. The Departed is yet even another allegory about how the police have ties with mafia, just like how Pablo Escobar had ties in Cuba. Pablo Escobar had X amount of police officers paid off, right? Those police officers paid the tax, and if they paid the tax, the cartels would leave them alone, and vice versa. This isn't a side note. This is the very purpose for why cultures and law are created, to sacrifice your labor for the benefit of your masters. When law challenges its competition, it labels them criminals and racketeers. The definition of racketeering is the creation of a threat and then charging for protection against it. Such racketeering is institutionalized slavery. Mafias and governments follow the same exact pattern. History shows us that the names given to each are a matter of who is a more successful extortionist. Summary. Nations lay claim to people based upon where they are born with respect to imaginary geographic lines. The truth is that a nation is simply a group of people with guns who will kill you if you do not obey them. Borders and land masses have nothing to do with your value as a human being. They are created to offer rulers stability as they exercise power over you. We is the word commandeered by culture to legitimize the borders and boundaries of law. You are obligated to obey law under penalty of death because you are part of the we within this imaginary geographic line. This is not a we you have joined by choice. This is not a we you can escape. Your ownership of land, your family, and your values are not important to we. In our world, the only escape from the tyranny of we is to substitute one we for another, assuming we let you. Evil would have you believe that you are a subject of borders. This is a lie. You need permission to leave the country. You need to ask your government permission to leave the country to get your passport. And then you got to pay $200 on top of that. If they do give you permission to leave the country, you got to pay $200 to $300 just to get your passport printed out. It's a joke. It's a joke. And there's ministers who are traveling all over the country thinking they're doing God's work. Pathetic. So pathetic, dude. After millennia of kings, those who were not royalty but sought power find a way to seize it. Nations allowed evil men to remain in control of culture and law, to have authority. We have a racist pedophile in office right now. There is a freaking monkey in the house. Hitler called his version National Socialism. Vladimir Lenin called his version communism. Some are called empires, some theocracies, and some democracies. All have one thread in common, the supremacy of the state. Under nations, culture teaches that no one is above the law, and because nations are defined geographically, no one can escape the law. Put more concisely, nations teach you that you are worth less than the law, right? Right back to that, full circle. The definition of evil is the destruction of freedom. I'm going to say that again because it's important. The definition of evil is the destruction of freedom. If governments were what they pretend by choice, they would not be government. They would be charitable institutions. Since choice is destroyed, freedom is dead, and whoever can control the government prevails. Governments, by definition, hold a monopoly on violence. Those who seek power over you will not fight your government. Why fight it? When what they wanted to begin with was authority over you. You already have the institution evil men seek. It is natural for evil men to seek its place in government. History shows us that every nation ever devised can and will be used as a tool on behalf of evil men. Evil seeks power. This is an immutable truth. The more power you vest in a government, the more evil you will find there. Now I'm going to read a little quote before I tap out of here. Going to read a nice quote that I already quoted in a previous book review. If you follow the channel, you know all about the book reviews. An entire playlist. I've done over 24 book reviews in the last 2 years. Listen to that sick. I love this music. Hold on, give me a minute. Looks like the boys might not even be sailing until later. So I could keep going, but I do need to eat some food before we set sail. But let me find this quote. I'm still searching for it. Man, I just cannot find it. Bear with me. Stay tuned, everybody. We're gonna find this thing. If I have the book that I want to quote is in somebody else's possession right now, so I can't. I could just turn the page and find the quote that I'm looking for, but I can't do that. Maybe I can find a. Yeah, this is tough. I think to end today's content, it would literally be perfect if I added the speech there. So I'm going to go to archive.org. I'm going to type in the search bar. It's so cool that you can go to archive.org and Oh, darn it. Well, I thought I found a copy of it. Now I have to read it, right? It's been built up too much. Hmm. Okay, here we go. I found a copy of the graphic novel. Okay, getting closer, getting closer, getting closer here. Boop, 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 boop. Man, this graphic novel is so freaking good. Let's me getting closer, getting closer. But anyways, if you value this information, make sure you tune into go to freedomundernaturallaw.com because there's a new event coming in February. It'll be here before you know it. Blink your eyes and Funnel 5 will be here. Freedom under natural law. And I've already read the definition of natural law. But this speech is going to take the cake. I just got to find it. Google search didn't hold too much value. It was just like simple, basic quotes. I hope I didn't skip it. No, because it's it's in like the middle of the novel. They say that there's a broken heart for every light on Broadway. They say that life's a game and then they take the board away. I'm getting closer here. Okay, I found it. And I don't know, I know it's been built up, but thank you so much if you made it this far. We're going to read this. I wish I had it on hand, but while I was reading that last chapter, this quote just popped up in my head, and I think it's going to be perfect. Good evening, London. I thought it time we had a little talk. Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. I suppose you're wondering why I've called you here this evening. Well, you see, I'm not entirely satisfied with your performance lately, and I'm afraid your work's been slipping. And, well, I'm afraid we've been thinking about letting you go. Oh, I know. You've been with the company a long time now. Almost 10,000 years. My word, doesn't time fly? It seems like only yesterday. I remember the day you commenced your employment, swinging down from the trees, fresh-faced and nervous, a bone clasp in your bristling fist. Where do I start, sir? You asked plaintively. I recall my exact words. There's a pile of dinosaur eggs over there, youngster, I said, smiling paternally the while. Get sucking. Well, we've certainly come a long way since then, haven't we? And yes, you're right. In all that time, you haven't missed a day. And I might add, in your general standard of behavior, the constant bickering on the factory floor was not escaped my attention. nor the recent bouts of rowdiness in the staff canteen. Then, of course, there's, well, I really didn't want to have to bring this up, but, well, you see, I've been hearing some disturbing rumors about your personal life. No, never mind. Who told you? Who told me? No names, no pack drill. This is hard to read. I understand that you are unable to get on with your spouse. I hear that you argue. I am told that you shout. Violence has been mentioned. I am reliably informed that you always hurt the one you love. The one you shouldn't hurt at all. And what about the children? It's always the children who suffer, as you're well aware. Poor little mites. What are they to make of it? What are they to make of your bullying, your despair, your cowardice, your fondly nurtured bigotries? Really? It's not good enough, is it? And it's no good blaming the drop in work standards upon bad management either. Though, to be sure, the management is very bad. In fact, let us not mince words. The management is terrible. We've had a string of embezzlers, frauds, liars, and lunatics making a stream of catastrophic decisions. This is plain fact. But who elected them? It was you. You who appointed these people. You who gave them the power to make your decisions for you. While I'll admit that anyone can go make a mistake once, to go on making the same lethal errors century after century seems to me nothing short of deliberate. You have encountered these malicious incompetents who have made your working life a shambles. You have accepted without question their senseless orders. You have allowed them to fill your workplace with dangerous and unproven machines. You could have stopped them. All you had to say was no. You have no spine. You have no pride. You are no longer an asset to the company. I will, however, be generous. You will be granted 2 years to show me some improvement in your work, and if at the end of that time you are still willing to make a go of it, you're fired. That will be all. You may return to your labors. Normal service will be presumed as soon as possible. That's really not the speech that I remembered. Well, I regret reading that whole thing, and that is a quote from the V for Vendetta graphic novel. Check out the book review. I did it over the summer. Wait, right? Yeah, I just did it over the summer. Like, November. Not over the summer. I did it in November. Wow. I've done too many book reviews. I've ranted on this long. I'm going to give Freedom Under Natural Law another plug. Actually, I'm going to do myself a favor. Go to freedomundernaturallaw.com. Igniting Hearts and Minds, coming soon. Freedom Under Natural Law 5. The event that will spark truth, love, and freedom. This is a free online conference, totally free. Anybody can join. It'll probably be streaming on the... Oh. Okay, my mouth's still moving. And so, yeah, be sure to stay tuned. Mark your calendars, February 21st to 22nd, 2020. It says 2025. That should have been... Six, right? Hold on. That's the next one. They might have a typo. I might have to message Chris Jansen because it says 2025. I don't know if that's accurate. It should be 2026. 2026. Yeah, 9 months ago was Freedom Under Natural Law 4, Humanity Rising. So that's a typo. Chris Jansen, I'm going to have to send you a message. Freedom Under Natural Law 5. So, the flyer says February 21st and 22nd, 2026, but then the website text says mark your calendars for February 21st, 22nd, 2000. It's 2026. February 21st, 22nd, 2026. Beagle Eye Visions is going to be in the chat. So the chat is always a good time. Sometimes, like this this past year at Freedom Under Natural Law. There was some goofballs in the chat. We were laughing. Like, I laughed so hard during that event. It was amazing. I was still in West Virginia this year when that came out, actually, now that I think about it. Wow, it's crazy. Where does time go? Seriously, where does time go? But anyways, don't let time get the best of you. Damn the man. Thank you so much if you made it this far. You are truly a legend. If you've made it this far, if you value this information, I absolutely love you. If you value freedom, hell, I love you anyway. If you're a human being, I freaking appreciate you and I love you. Thank you so much if you made it this far. You're an absolute legend. And I'm going to sign off. I'm going to eat some food. I'm going to go sail the high seas, do some actual gaming. And then maybe later tonight, I'll probably be streaming Gex because I need to do the Gex level before Christmas gets here, right? I need to beat the Christmas level, and that level is so much fun. You get to throw snowballs at elves. You get to snowboard down a hill in that Gex level, so it'll be like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. I'll probably do it all-nighter, and then in the morning apply to some more dumb jobs. Thanks for tuning in, Elliot. You're kind of late, but I still appreciate you. All right, Beagle Eye Visions, give you the salute that you guys can't see. I wish I had a camera, but I can't afford it. Give you the salute. Beagle Eye Visions signing off. Stay tuned. Stay gold, everybody.